Good morning. How's everybody?
Wonderful.
Morning.
Good. Hey, this is Carl Blackstone with the Columbia Chamber, and we're delighted that you're here with us. And thanks for taking the time. I see a bunch of class leadership Columbia classmates. Good morning. Glad you're here, Brad and Ed. Listen,
Sure.
couple things that just for housekeeping. We're going to keep this short and sweet. Just a few updates, but I'd really like to hear from y'all as well. Anything going on in your world? So I'll take questions. Feel free. There's a chat button somewhere. Uh, if you actually have a question or want to comment, feel free to add it to the chat. Also, we'll always take questions for those that if we hit something you have an interest later, shoot us an email at info@columbiachamber.com and we'll get an answer for you. Another interesting week. I keep saying this every week. It's like, how can this craziness get any crazier? And each week it's like, hold my beer, we got another crazy one coming. And so again, this week was no different. Some good news though, we people started getting their paychecks from the feds after a 3-week little bit of delay. Bad news is the PPP ran out of money. And so we really need to look to our members of Congress and ask them to meet and get those funds flowing again for the businesses that weren't able to qualify for the triple P. So a lot of big headline news. I don't know if y'all caught yesterday, Henry, the governor's press conference. Looks like if you own a boat and you're looking for somebody to join you, let me know, because boat landings are back open, which is great. Again, they're limited to 3 people on a boat, except for a family of mine, like 6. I mean, that doesn't work. But for anybody else, help yourself to getting out in a boat. Just be safe out there, which is good. People need to get out, and especially after this devastating week in South Carolina. I know they said in the paper today 16 tornadoes touched down. I thought it was like closer to 19, but just unbelievable devastation around the state. So we lift them up in our prayers, and I know a lot of people are hurt with those storms. So thoughts to them. But I will say I've got to give some credit to the governor's office as they're managing these 2 disasters. They've done a really good job as best they can, and they're not getting a whole lot of sleep. So we'd be thinking about them as well. So let's talk about a few things that we got going on. We had 2 great Zoom calls this week, and I want to thank General Beagle out at Fort Jackson, and also Gene Cecil Frick and Jessica from MP Strategies did a really good job yesterday. But a lot of stuff going on around this community, and I think if you really talk to anybody, they're itching to get back, and the quarantine is wearing off. Anybody with kids certainly can appreciate that as well. But the peak hadn't hit yet. And so I know there were conversations with the president yesterday about setting up a task force for restarting the economy. All important conversations to have, quite frankly. And the governor is going to be putting together a task force as well to figure out how do we phase in the next, or the economy starting. And we've got to get restaurants back open. We've got to get small businesses back open. Manufacturing is ready to go. I think if you ask any of the manufacturers in the state, they just want the green light, and but we have to do it in a phased, smart approach. And some of the things, if you own your businesses or you are responsible for employees, things that you might need to consider. What does it look like as a phase in? Can you do it half your employees, a third of your employees at a time? How do you prevent, or how do you intermingle with your team, as well as practicing social distancing? The biggest issue, quite frankly, is going to be the PPEs, the personal protection equipment. Do you require that for your employees as they go do their day in, day out duties at work? If you're in the hospitality industry or retail industry, do your staff need PPE, at least face masks for a while? Would you require that for your some of your clients, or just anybody walking in, your customers? So things that are going to be rolling out over the next few weeks. But how do we supply enough face masks for every single business in the state? We've got to look at a lot of supply chains and figure out other ways that we can start our business, but also stay safe, because this corona, even though we're almost to our peak in South Carolina, not quite, but as we're getting inching closer to it, everybody's going to be ready to get out, excuse me, and about. But we got to take a lot of precautions so we don't see a relapse of this corona. So all these are questions that I'm getting every week from business owners and executives, and I'm just sharing them with you, because not that we have the answers quite yet, but things that we've got to consider and take into account as we get our phase in back on. I'm reading else my notes. In fact, I was on a call this week with CEOs from chambers around the country. It's really interesting having the conversations of who's doing what at what time. And literally as this virus grows, it's impacting other parts of the country at different times. So Philly and Boston, my friends from up there are seeing their peaks about right now, just like with us. But my friend David Brown in Omaha is, he's still 3 weeks away from hitting their peak. So this thing is, it has a life of its own in this way. And so we've got to be, at least understand that different parts of the country are impacted different times. And so as we phase this recovery back in, we've got to take a look at supply chains as well. And also, if you're a company that's located all around the country, not everybody's going to be back at work yet. So we've got to take that into account. Let's talk about a couple things non-COVID related for a second. I'm thrilled to say the Chamber got its certificate of occupancy this week, and we're going to be moving to our new location probably next week. And so I think we've got some folks starting to move on Monday and some more on Tuesday. So anyway, at least the Chamber staff's got something to do next week while we relocate our offices after 30 years going to be on Lady Street. So we're really excited about that. All right, let me check and see if I have any questions. And if y'all, again, if you have any questions, just randomness, just let me know. Oh, I got one, but feel free. All right, great. There's a couple comments about the U.S. Chamber. They are going live with on Monday for grant opportunities for businesses that are less than 20 employees. So www.savesmallbusiness.com. So check that out. Heather has a great question. Is there a way to go back and view the webinars from earlier this week? Absolutely. In fact, the recordings are on our website. If you go to www.columbiachamber.com, click on the COVID links, and all of our past webinars are on there. And so help yourself. Again, some great takeaways yesterday from Gene Cecil at Nexen Pruitt. And if you want to update on what Fort Jackson's been able to do in the last month, check that out. And be looking out there. 60 Minutes was out at Fort Jackson this week doing some interviews with TRADOC, which is the Fort Jackson bosses, basically. And so they did a bunch of interviews out there at Fort Jackson. So not sure if that's going to air on Sunday night, but check that out. There may be some good intel there. All right. Let's see what else is going on. I know I've heard from a bunch of businesses this week about South Carolina Department of Employee Workforce and the backlog and just the wait times. And that's unfortunate, it really is. I know they have been outsourcing some of their call centers, and they are working very hard to improve the efficiency of that process. But they have onboarded, I think they've gone from 40 folks on the answering service to over 240 in the last 2 weeks. And so onboarding those 200 extra is not an easy process, especially with the amount of information that's coming down the pike. So we have relayed those messages to our folks, our friends at DO, and they recognize it's an imperfect system, and they are diligently working on it. But they do express they recognize it's frustrating, and they're sorry for that. But for those that need to get in touch with DO, be patient there, and they're going to work with you. If we can help at the Chamber, please let us know about that. All right. We have been away from it a little bit, and one of the things I'd like to do right now is we've got some great companies that support the chamber, and so we also want to recognize our partner of the month. And so we had a great conversation this week with our friend Deneen, the Coffee Queen, and she wanted to help sponsor the Coffee with Carl, but she has been gracious to reach out to us over the last couple of years and really support the chamber, but many small businesses and groups around Columbia. And so with that, I really want to thank Deneen for all of her work, but also she does great daily quotes and just uplifting messages on her website or her Twitter account and Facebook account. So please follow Deneen for some good stuff. So we're going to give Deneen our partner of the month. So Deneen, I don't see you on here, but I know you're here somewhere. Thank you for everything you've been able to do for us and what you continue to do. Coffee is a great conversation maker, so we appreciate your willingness to support us, but more importantly, support Columbia. So thank you. All right, let's see. I lost people. There we go. All right, let's see if any other questions for Carl this morning. Once this is over, I promise you we're going to do cocktails with Carl and not just coffee. That would provide a little bit more conversation. Here's one. Thank you, Melly. For folks without internet that need to file for unemployment, can call the Richland Library and our career counselors will file for them. Great. You have to schedule an appointment. So 799-9084 is the number. We have a new resource on our website. There's a direct link to the library. The library's got phenomenal resources. So make sure you check out Richland County Library. And again, you can link that from ours or go straight to their webpage. But they updated it. I think they update every day, but with updated links as of yesterday that I saw. So thank you very much for that. It is under the small business link. So richlandlibrary.com/small business. That's good stuff. Hey, Jamie, I just saw your message. Thank you very much. Jamie with Alpine Agency jumped in on the call yesterday, and so we enjoyed having you there as well this morning as well. So anything y'all are hearing that we need to know? I know the mayor has got a meeting next week with the COVID response group to look at coming back to work. I know a bunch of CEOs are meeting with the mayor as well as the governor this week to talk about reentry. I do think we're a couple weeks away from that, so I don't want to get everybody's excitement up because, quite frankly, it's going to be a couple more weeks. But all the executive orders have been extended to the end of April, so we will find out within a week or so what's going to happen with public schools. And also, if you didn't notice, a big deal for City of Columbia. They had a Zoom call or a conference call yesterday at the University of South Carolina, and the Board of Trustees will make a decision by June 15th on whether school will begin in the fall, or will they have to do virtual classes again for another semester. That's a big deal for a lot of businesses in town. We recognize that. I also recognize the challenges that the board has and President Caslin has on opening school up and whether or not the social distancing can happen. Do we need to be social distancing at that time? I'm not necessarily worried about. It's hard enough for humans to survive in August in Columbia, so half less COVID. But how about October, November, when school's already back? Does COVID come back? And those are legitimate questions, I think, and a responsibility they have to look at. So kudos for them for looking out and trying to take the best interest of Columbia and their students at heart. So we'll keep you posted on that. Any other questions? We got a giveaway. Deneen is on, and Deneen, I gave you a plaque. You weren't here. I apologize. But we've got some. She was gracious enough to offer some giveaways this week, some bags of coffee. And so, real quick, if I can run down. Heather Lee, Sarah Hines, and Aaron Blackman, y'all get bags of coffee. I don't know how that was chosen. It just hit me on on the screen. So congratulations to those three. We will get you those bags of coffee from Deneen, the Coffee Queen. They were randomly chosen, by the way, for, take our word for it. Trust us. What else is going on? Anything that y'all have questions about? Anybody doing anything really, really fun that's creative to take our minds off of Zoom calls and being quarantined? I know Ed Schaefer's done the same thing I have. If we've taken a break, I see Rich O'Donnell is also sporting a good-looking beard. Eric Blackman is sporting a beard. So that's the new thing. And it's not even November. My kids remind me every day it's not November. Like I need reminding, but they want me to get rid of it. So, all right, I don't want to belabor, but we really appreciate y'all's time this morning, and more importantly, what y'all are doing. Thanks for your patience as you work through all these new challenging opportunities that we have presented to us. But we've got some good presentations next week on our 11 o'clock Zoom webinars. And so look back, we'll be forwarding that out on social media. I'm also looking to have some good conversations in the near future with President Caslin, as well as Representative Clyburn. And so we're looking to schedule those right now. So we'll keep you posted on everything that we're doing as well. But we're going to continue to function next week, even though we're in the physical move part next week. But thank goodness, virtual. We've gotten great practice at this virtual stuff. So again, y'all stay safe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back with you on Tuesday. Have a good day. Thanks again, Deneen. You're awesome.